Gentleman 26.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Anybody who has paid any attention to my time in this body this session knows that if I don't have Health and Welfare Committee meeting in the morning, I can often be found lurking around state affairs. It's a committee that deals with a lot of policy issues that I find very interesting. So last week I tried to sit in when House Bill 675 was being heard by the committee, and I was unable to walk in. There was not a seat available. It was absolutely packed. So I came up here, I sat right here at my desk, and I watched the stream. And multiple people, multiple trans individuals testified on the record to everyone in that committee that day that had they not had access to the health care that they had, that they would not have been there to testify, that they would have killed themselves. And I know this to be true because I also have a trans family member. My mom's cousin was born a male back in the 60s when the trans condition was barely understood. My second cousin struggled growing up. They were confused, they were combative with family members, ended up on the streets, addicted to alcohol and drugs, several crimes, repeated suicide attempts. My entire family was concerned for their well-being. We were concerned that they would overdose and die. We were concerned that they would commit a crime so severe that they would end up in prison and not just jail, or that the next suicide attempt would be successful. My second cousin kind of dropped off the radar for several years. Nobody heard anything. And then they came back, but they were now living as a female. They had gone to a foreign country, and they had had gender reassignment surgery. And they were now living as they felt they had needed to. Life was much better than before because they were finally living as they were supposed to. So what this bill will do, if it passes, is it will take kids and turn them either into a story like my second cousin's, or they will kill themselves. Now, to the best of my knowledge, nobody in this room has a trans child. I certainly don't, and I don't believe that any of you do either. We sit around here and we call ourselves pro-life in this body, but if this bill passes, that will most certainly not be true, because a yes vote will be a noose around the neck of kids who want to live, but not like this. A regular point in this institution is that we are the safeguard for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but this bill passing will show that this body is against life unless this body defines how it is to be lived. This bill passing will be taking liberty away because it doesn't fit our definition of liberty, and this bill passing will most certainly take away happiness, and it will instead replace it with depression and with sorrow and with the needless death of more trans individuals. We sit here today and we will make life and death decisions for families with this vote. The language of this bill is so inconsistent with modern medical care. We are going to make the doctors and the nurses and the therapists and the parents who are desperate to keep their children alive, we are going to make them felons. Think about that for one more second. We should not be making keeping children alive a crime. In fact, I believe there's legislation pending that would do just the opposite. It would make the death of an unborn child a crime. We should be embracing the fact that there is now a way to keep our kids alive who have previously killed themselves.
Mr. Speaker,
Lady from Juan.
I object.
On what grounds do you object?
He doesn't know that if these kids don't get this surgery, they're going to die. You can't really make broad statements like that.
Okay, I get the point.
Thank you.
And his opinion is as valid as the others in the room. That point or two, good gentlemen, you did paint with tempering things within my opinion.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Experience, that type of thing. And
Understood.
So putting that on everyone would probably be appreciated. But the gentleman has the floor to continue his debate.
Thank you, sir. Countless hours have been spent on this very floor debating medical freedom in the name of COVID. And in fact, I believe 2 bills after this one will we...
Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman, our good lady from District 23.
Yeah, this would be the second time he's referred to pending legislation without asking unanimous consent.
Point taken. Don't do it again.
Fair enough. I'm not really referencing it, I'm just pointing out that it will be there. But I would ask unanimous consent to point out that in just 2 short votes, we will be voting on a bill about medical freedom.
That objection.
Mr. Speaker,
Uh,
I object. He's making the points without actually asking for permission. If you're going to refer to pending legislation, you need to ask permission prior to referring to the pending legislation.
Fair enough. Thank you. Okay. Well, but now in an instance where we don't agree with how families choose to let their children live their lives, we will take their medical freedom away and replace it with felony charges. Freedom for me, but not freedom for thee. The bill sponsor will tell you that he believes intensive therapy is what is needed for children experiencing gender dysphoria. That is already happening. Any parent of a trans child will tell you that they've already spent years in therapy to get to this point. A gender dysphoric child doesn't walk into a consultation and walk out on puberty blockers. It takes months, if not years, of care to get to that point. Gender dysphoria is now a well-understood condition, as my family well knows. The medical professionals who treat it are lifesavers. They are not felons. And to think that we know what is best, we being this body, for families of children who are gender dysphoric is a fallacy. This is a body that consistently makes decisions in opposition to medical evidence, and this is a body that consistently makes decisions in opposition to legal advice and to case law as well. We consider ourselves the ultimate experts on all things, but our track record of being correct is not great. We've got a chance to make a bit of a course correction today that will be in line with modern medicine. A no vote on this bill will save lives, but I fear that a yes vote will be a death sentence in many instances moving forward. I can't in good conscience vote yes on kids killing themselves, and I would hope that you will take the remaining time before we vote to look deep into your hearts and ask yourself if you can live with that as well. I urge your no vote.